How many would you run? Like, what amount equivalent would you run?
I didn't ever get over 500,000 at a time because I just didn't want to have too much around, and I would sell it in chunks at 30 cents on the dollar. Right.
Who were your main? I mean, $500,000, that's a lot of paper for one person by themselves to produce, let alone move with.
Oh,
and
no.
Circulate, because you got to bust it down.
Yeah, no, that was the beautiful thing. So when I was in Chicago, I used to play basketball, and I would travel all over the city playing with different, nationalities. I'd go over to 47, play ball over there. I'd go to Ukrainian Village. And when I came back from Chicago from my long layoff, all those cats have grown up, and now they were on the streets doing things. So I had outlets like no other person, man. I had my Russian boys. I had my cartel. I mean, I had people in play, but it didn't start like that. I mean, when I first started making the money, it was just we would spend it, right? Me and my girl, I would drive. We'd hit a mall. She'd go in there and drop something, drop 100 in every store. We would drop all the stuff off at the Salvation Army box, give it away, and then move on to the next one.
The things that you would buy after you bust 100 down, you would so you'd buy something that was maybe $15, $20, and you get the $85 back in real currency, I guess. Right? And then the stuff you bought, you would just go to like the Salvation Army, just give it away?
Yeah, because it'd be too much. It'd be too much to fill in the car, and it looked like...
But so much toilet paper you can really buy.
Yeah, there's only so much toilet paper you can buy, dog.
Right.
So, we would give it away. That way we didn't have all this merch in the car, just in case we got pulled over.
Right.
And, we did that for a while, and then from there,
the malls and shit like that.
Yeah,
did you hit high-end shops buying
everything,
expensive clothes, jewelry, shit like that?
Not really. I wasn't really that. We didn't really do that too much, Like I said, I think my upbringing prevented me probably from doing really intense shit. Maybe that's why I had a long run, right? And what I mean by that is like, I haven't ever really been into all the fancy things. I was trained to survive, Now I like a car and I like shoes and I like things, So, but I'm not one who's obsessed over that stuff. I'm obsessed over making the money. Right. I like to see my money stack up.
And that's from the hardships that you experienced as a child, the abject poverty.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah. And the more I have, the more secure I feel, right?
Meech was like that.
Yeah. The same way, man. I'm not, like I said, where I get my security is if I could look over and I see a bag full of money, that's where my security's at. I don't watch or,
That's a poor person's mindset.
Yeah. Like I was always taught, you don't ever want cats to know what you have because they'll try to take it.
That's right.
Right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so I try to fly low under the radar as low as I can, and even then.
Your business, not show business.
Exactly,
Yeah.
But, so, I had a run. We ended up getting jammed up.
How long was your run?
I mean, man, pretty much, I got jammed up probably about 3 years into that. And then I got in trouble in Alaska with my dad.
So your dad you and your dad did kind of reconnect at a certain point, right? You and Art Sr.?
Yeah. But it didn't work out too well, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, how long had it been since you and he, because he'd abandoned you guys, and then you went through the things you went through. Where was he during this period when you robbing, like breaking into cars, stealing cars, breaking into meters and shit? Where was he during this period?
He was in Alaska. Yeah, he took off to Alaska. Yeah, he was in Chickaloon, Alaska. It was about, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes east of Anchorage. Yeah.
He was deep in Alaska.
Yeah, he's deep in Alaska.
How the hell did you find him? How did you know he was in Alaska?
Man, it was crazy. So when I ended up getting jammed up at the House of Blues with some money.
Right.
Yeah.
You and your
It was my
ex-wife's
wife's
sister.
Yeah.
So how? Because I've heard you say that you prevailed upon your sixth sense. That we've talked about this. I used to tell you how when I got a sense of something, I would just. This is back when you were still in the joint, and my son had told you and my son were locked up together, which is how we met all those many years ago, and I told you that I had been in the game and survived or whatever, and we talked about that sixth sense, that thing that says, "Hey, yo, leave. I don't care how good the party's going, how good the money's flowing. It's time to break out right now."
Yeah.
And you said that you used that and that you relied on that, and that you'd never been caught basically red-handed. But in the instance at the House of Blues, you got jammed with a bag.
Yeah, I got jammed with the bag. Right? Yeah.
And so what happened with that?
Man, well, so I was going up there to do a deal, and we were at the House of Blues at the bar, and me and the dude were talking, but his family had came in from Russia, and so he said he was throwing a party for them, wanted me to come over, and he asked if we could do what we were going to do tomorrow, the next day. And so I was like, yeah, sure. But I wasn't going to go to the party, and so the bartender overheard us talking and thought we were going to be partying up in the room. And I guess he was an informant for the cops, a detective. And what happened is he alerted them. So when I came back to the room later that evening with my wife's sister, the cops were waiting for us. And what happened is we go up into the room, and the room we had, it was a suite. So I was in the bedroom, she was in the living room, and then there was a long hallway. And I was laying down, someone knocked, said it was security. She opened the door and the cops bum rushed the room. They ended up finding the money. Went through some processes. The Secret Service showed up.
So they knew that
they didn't know.
Counterfeiter?
At first they thought that it was drug money, right? At first they thought it was drug money. The cops found it was like $80,000, and the cop, when he was counting it, and lo and behold, I mean, it can't even, you can't plan. This is crazy how I am, but he happened to be a banker. The cop used to be a former bank teller, man.
Oh,
go figure that one. Yeah, so while he's counting the money, man, he started just feeling funny about it. Called the Secret Service. Secret Service came, and they said, "Oh yeah, this is the guy we've been looking for, right?" And so they had me, man. They had me red-handed. It was the first time.
So the cop that was the former banker, he feels the bread, and it starts to occur to him to call the Secret Service.
Yeah, he said,
"What were you guys doing? Could you see this happening?"
Like, I'm right there. Yeah, I'm right there. He's talking crazy to me. Well, like I said, at first they thought it was drug money, and so they wanted me to, they were talking about, you need to tell us, you're gonna go through with the deal. I'm like, man, I don't know what deal you're talking about, man. Ain't nothing going down. And he's counting the money. The cop actually said he didn't see any red or blue fibers in it. That's what he said. It felt good. It looked good, but he said it was something. Something was off. And he didn't see no red or blue fibers, and that's what made him suspicious of the cash. Yeah, that's what happened.
If it weren't for him having been a banker like that,
he'd have never noticed.
Anomalistic happenstance.
Yeah, he'd have
then
never
nobody
noticed.
would have. That would have been entirely different.
Yeah.
They probably would have still confiscated the money.
They would have took the money. They would have found out eventually, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I would have been out of there at least, So
right.
But they found a little weed on the. They found a little weed on the They found a little weed on the table, and that was their probable cause, they said. So in their police report, the way they wrote it up was that there was a disturbance. They came in, the door was opened, they seen weed on the table. Right? They put that on the police report. But when my attorney, when he was reading me this, I said, man, that's impossible. Because the tables around the corner, unless they got x-ray vision, they can't see through nothing.
Right.
Right. So my attorney had a private investigator go over there, take pictures of the room, had the management sign a sworn affidavit that none of the furniture was moved. And then the security guard admitted that they didn't see anything. So the police report and the security guard, they clashed, and the judge threw it out. I walked out the door.
So the result of that was the case being dropped on the basis of an illegal search and seizure.
Illegal search and seizure, yeah. Couldn't believe it. Yeah.
They knew who you were.
They knew who I was now, though. And they had me on their radar now, you know?
Right.
And that's when I started looking for my pops. You know, I actually back then you could Google, you know, it wasn't Google. I forgot what it was. It was like Yellow Pages. And I just started punching Arthur J. Williams Jr. and one popped in Alaska.
You mean senior?
Senior, yeah. Arthur J. Williams Sr. And one popped in Alaska. And I don't know, because there was only like 4 that I had found. And I just, for some reason, I felt like that one in Alaska was him. And so I wrote a letter because it was a P.O. box. Wrote a letter, gave him my number. And about 2 weeks later, he called me. And
how long had it been?
Like 22 years. 22 years, yeah. Yeah.
God damn.
And so we talked for a while, man. I told him I was in a jam. He said, come up there. And so, you know, I proceeded to go to Alaska. That was my next stop. I went up to Alaska. And again, just kind of how I went from Chicago to Texas, and my bad ways followed with me to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing happened again. From when I went up to Alaska, me and my pops were jiving and talking and having a good time. And he showed me something he was doing. He was growing, you know, Alaska Northern Lights, right? He had a crazy grow room down up there, you know? And so it made me feel comfortable to explain to him what I was doing. And so now we're trading secrets, and before you know it, you know, he wants me to get into the money up there. I always called it the gold fever, right? Anyone who knew I was printing, which wasn't many, but the ones that would be around me, you know, they would get this gold fever. You know?
As soon as they found out you could do it.
Oh man, you know, it was like I won the lottery, right? You know, someone wins the lottery, you got cousins from 10 generations back, you know what I'm saying, showing up. Right? So that's how I felt. So that's why I always stayed real secret with it. But, you know, same thing happened with my pops, man. He got wide-eyed, you know, and right away wanted me to get into it. But to get the same type of materials and equipment in Alaska that I had in Chicago was impossible, right? I mean, you had to ship this and do this, and man, it was just, and I tried it. I tried to pull it off. The money came out all right, but what happened is his wife started spending it in Alaska, which was just a big no-no, you know? You're way at the top of the world, you know, with this money. It doesn't have very far to go.
Right.
You know? And where did it end up? In the Secret Service's lap. And they came calling and brought the whole thing down, you know? And my dad ended up getting busted with pistols, and they grabbed me for the money. Even though I sort of escaped. Again, with my sixth sense, when I was up there, I knew something was wrong. And so I jumped out of Alaska. They caught me in Dallas. And that was pretty much it, man. I ended up going down for 3 years on that. And
so you and your pops together?
Yeah. He ended up getting 6 years for the guns. I got 3 years for the money. And
Were there five co-conspirators in that particular situation?
Yeah. His wife ended up getting 6. The other 2 ended up, I think one ended up, he got killed. Yeah, a lot of crazy stuff happened.
I want to pick up where your dad and you catch this case in Alaska, and he gets 6 for the guns, you get 3 for the paper, but you guys are in prison together.
No, they actually separated us. They wouldn't. They wouldn't let us be in the same prison because his wife was still going to court, and
she was still going to court on the case that you guys caught together, but you had already been sentenced.
Yeah.
Why is it that her case was moving at a different pace? It's the same.
Well, because she was the one who told on everyone.
Oh,
right. Yeah.
We forgot that part.
Yeah. So she was the last one, and what's wild is they offered her 6 months probation, and on the time of sentencing, she claimed that she didn't have nothing to do with it, and she wasn't going to take no time. So you know how the feds take that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gave her 6 years too. Yeah, she went from 6 months to 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, she got more time than me.
Where was her lawyer?
Wow. Well, you know, it's weird. Karma got a way of like coming back. You know, my dad ran off with her on my, from my mom, and all these years later now, this is how it ended for her,
And she was kind of the catalyst for the case.
She was the catalyst completely, she was the main person. But they didn't take lightly to the fact that here was a young man coming to find his father. And rather than my father telling me, no, we're not doing this no more, that he instigated it. So rather than coming back into my life and being a good influence, he perpetuated what I had been doing, and she allowed it and took part in it, right? And then try to put it all on me when the heat came down. And, I took my hit, unfortunately, on the day I got out, literally on the day I got out, my father died in Sheridan, Oregon. He died in prison.